Yeah, it would be interesting to see a remake of the original Nano missions, making them more interesting with new fusion layers like the secondary ones. Yeah, I definitely do agree with that. Yeah, so like the amount of effort that they placed into for like the computerist layer as well as for the Runty one, although the Runty one was like a repeat of Fuse's Labyrinth, as well as the one for Belladonna, especially for Belladonna and Computers. I definitely did enjoy that a lot, and it would be interesting to see, like, what the future primary nanos are going to look like. Like, we know that Johnny Bravo is going to be a primary nano, and then and Flaptech is going to be a primary nano. So, like, what's that going to look like if they're already placing so much love for the secondary nano world missions? Something we'll really look forward to. However, in terms of the practicality, is it possible for them to rework all 36 nano missions, all of the original ones, or is it something that is already being reworked on for FusionFall Legacy? So here is a post from Crystal Ranger Danny. It would be awesome to twist the gameplay more for future updates, like the ones where you fight Fusion Demongo or Fusion Coop, Amphibian, and Courage. And the eruptions not having directly after each other was also really fun. Imagine that, but blend in with the mix of platforming, one of the biggest elements of FusionFall. This could lead out for way more interesting battles than just standing in front of the fusion and attacking. Yeah, I definitely kind of agree that when it came to like the fusion Runty Nano mission, it was interesting because we had to go battle 9 fusions and they were all spamming their eruption attacks, and you weren't able to go see that. I also liked how, for example, with with the Ben 10 update, when you defeated like Fusion Albedo, it then transformed into like Fusion Ben, or I kind of forgot, I haven't done that in a long while. That was a definite surprise, but basically adding some new game mechanics inside of the game. I'm not sure if that's possible. Would be very nice. Taking advantage of the platforming inside of infected zones as well as outside of these infected zones would be interesting. Um, Expansions have not been revealed yet, but I would like to see the expansion have new continents instead of just standalone areas. You could really expand upon that idea. Yeah, I definitely do agree that there kind of needs to be a new continent, kind of like what's similar to the Darklands, and for yeah, kind of like what's happened to the Darklands. Maybe if they were to go add like a new continent that's out at the sea, that would be very interesting as well. Um, Dungeons should be used way more often, and no, not catacombs. Although I have to say, catacombs could be filled with new content to make it at least likable. Probably something like the underworld, since the gate there is called Heck Door in the files. That could also work for expansions. Yeah, so just having some more ways for the catacombs to be much more interesting. That it's actually the least favorite area by far within the community when you're forced to go do the catacombs. It's very far. The missions are not even related to the core plot of the game, and it's something that you would rather just skip entirely. Now, it would be cool that if, for example, if they were to go add in like a world boss, or if they were to go add in like that giant door at the catacombs, or that castle underwater, that would be interesting as well, making the catacombs much more interesting to go explore. Yeah, so I definitely do agree with that. Back to dungeons, though, I feel like teamwork should be thought of way more. Players most of the time just time up to grind, kill a huge boss, or just for better platforming. I say let them be really challenging by using puzzle solving strategies. I'm not exactly sure how they're going to implement puzzle solving strategies. You can manipulate missions not to be NPCs, but instead by a puzzle that the players wishes to do. NPCs, however, would make it way more fun, though. I'm not exactly sure how that could be implemented. To have more teamwork involved, I suggest making all self nano skills into group skills. Completely banning skills such as self heal, self jump, self run. First impressions, I strongly disagree. Of course, the stats would have to be consistent for the skills too, so it would not be a nerf from the normal skills. Yeah, first impression, I disagree. But if they were to do that, that would be a noticeable increase for the MMO aspect of the game. And that would probably have its own dedicated video. So have platforms that are hard to climb that require 2 people instead of just soloing. There could be a dungeon where one player could collect piece 1 and the other player piece 2, which would go nice, kind of like an echo key. Have platforms that are hard to climb. So like, are you saying that you would need like group jump in order for yourself to go get to that one potential place? Crystal Danny he's giving these ideas, but he needs to go kind of expand what he means with this. Fasting can be done way better in FusionFall. Common shopkeeper items are sometimes even better than some ugly ultra rare ones. I suggest researching more clothes from the recent years and try to mix them with Cartoon Network FusionFall. Yeah, there definitely needs to be a lot more modern clothing. The clothing that's inside of FusionFall, it's 11 plus years old. It would also be nice if you could dress up as NPCs. You already have that. You could dress up as an urban ranger, as a plumber, as a K&D operative, but have it there so that other variations of the clothes. It would be nice if you could just get more vertical dungeons. The spire kind of counts, I guess. K&D Treehouse would be nice. For example, the latest update really showed off there could be done way more with interior stuff, so more interiors would be great too. Yeah, so like, regarding the whole spire thing, I only attended the Christmas event only once, but it was definitely a lot of fun just to go do the mission, climbing up, and you're still surprised that you're not even close to the top. They can definitely implement that, as well as trying to have some form of Halloween 2019 sort of drop rates where ultra rares are actually ultra rare, because it seems to me that ultra rare, like the standard ones, with introduction of gold exclusive items, they're no longer really ultra rare. In fact, the last time I checked, there's actually more ultra rares than there are uncommons, which is really, really odd. I need to go fact check that one. This is just me, but I would like to see 3 or 4 secondary low-level nanos, new nanos in the beginning gets players interested. Yeah, so just to add on to what he says, I think, with introduction of codes, it also makes me kind of want for the devs to have code nano items, such as, for example, back to the original game when we had to, where we could unlock nanos by using codes, and I would just have 3 code nanos, or just 2 code nanos, and the first one would have to be a nano that has jump, and the second one would have to be a nano that has rocket. So the reasoning for why this would happen is because if you can have that at level 4, you can already skip the tutorial as well as the future, and you could get yourself number 2, which is the run ability. So if at level 4 you add in these 2 code items, which gives you jump and a rocket nano, then at level 4 you can start racing immediately instead of waiting for level 12, which takes a long while for the non-experienced players. And outside of that, having Rolf as a nano, that would be interesting as well. Like, where the heck is Rolf? Or having Father. That would be interesting. Like, there's a whole missing mission plot series where, like, Professor Utonium was trying to go see if Father was actually continuing to be a bad person, or if he actually changed his ways. The answer is that he was trying to help people, but he was being misunderstood. This is a lot of suggestions. PvP would be great. It's already implemented in the game. Not really. The closest form of PvP that we have would be racing. And I think, I already have my thoughts about that. Make racing relevant again by like that for every update that they add in new items per infected zone through the Calling All Designers thread. Thing is, though, that you can't use nano abilities. Now that new scripts for FusionFall are possible, I suggest you guys go out with a new PvP mode someday. Now, I'm not exactly sure how they can implement that. You have to remember that working with FusionFall retro code is something that is extremely hard to do relative to probably with like FusionFall Legacy, because like they have like a brand new Unity engine where everything is like kind of like made from scratch. Yeah, so racing would be way more fun if players could get the item or taros instead. Way more people would be racing if they could get taros from racing. I know you can't directly give a player taros as a reward when they win a race. That's a bag of money would be great for the situation. So I kind of agree with that as well. That would be great for the economy. And another kind of a radical idea that I have would be converting all of the fusion matter that you have on your character into taros. So if you have like 360,000 fusion matter, you can convert that to your local sacked agent inside of the infected zone, and you can convert that to like 360,000 taros. So there would be like an incentive for yourself to keep on racing your awarded fusion matter, and you could then exchange that. And then you can exchange that to taros. Oceans should be more a thing, but I'm expecting that for expansions. Yeah. Darklands should also be filled with some more new content. We already have Bad and Time Squad. I'm still waiting for Time Squad Part 2, but how about the Cavemen Return? A scrapped idea that never saw the light of day. This could be a great opportunity for the Flintstones to be introduced into retro. Yeah, that would be interesting. I remember way back in the forums, people were asking like, what are these tents in the Darklands and or inside of like Monkey Foothills, Devastated. It's kind of like from prehistoric people, so it would be a great way to introduce the Flintstones. Have Bedrock near Forsaken Valley, like 1 or 2 areas away from it. Here's a twist: have the Jetsons directly above the Flintstones. The Jetson City would use the poles that use their city to stand up directly on Bedrock. You could travel from Mandark's ship to their places, so that's kind of interesting. Another interesting thing is like, what if the Jetson City is like above Mandark's place? That's something to really think about. Honestly, Nanos has always been where I got my primary enjoyment of the game. There are so many NPCs who I feel like could use a Nano but don't have one yet, like Father or Ace. Hint, hint for Hook Slice Hills. I also like to see nano powers getting some buffs for them to be actually viable, I'd love seeing the custom fusion layers in the last update, and I want to see more of them. I quite want to see more calling all designer items making an appearance. Yes, I do agree with that. This last thing is kind of weird, but I really want Secret Snails to come back. I 100% agree with you. They were a nice addition inside of the original game. The Secret Snail did appear in OG FusionFall, as well as a nice reintroduction during the Christmas 2019 event. They were a really neat thing in the OG game, and they're just another thing making the game feel more alive. Yeah, that would be nice, and this kind of does remind me about the whole Golden Egg sets. That's something that's another really underutilized concept, and it would be really nice to see if we could actually have more Golden Egg sets scattered around the game. This is something that the devs can already do. It's within their power, so it would be interesting to go see. This is pretty much what LS is stating, and that's the first page. I kind of went through that relatively fast.